Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 138 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. No Damon this week. Damon's in Hilton Head.
Yeah, which is, good for him. He's getting a vacation with his family. That's important. So
Yeah. He's not at, just so we should note, he's not at the Hilton Head Resort, but he is using his points at an RCI resort, I believe, this week, right?
Yeah, so we'll get to hear about that when he gets back. And not related to DVC or anything either, but you're also taking a bit of a trip too, aren't you?
Yeah, so we're actually recording this kind of in the middle of the week, which is a little weird for us. But I was a little scared, Trevor, I'm not going to lie, because I'm always scared we're going to have enough content to talk about on the show. But then, so much stuff got announced the past, 4 days.
Disney delivered.
They really did. It's like the Disney gods, shined upon us. It's, so all this stuff to talk about. And I was worried because, and so, by the way, if you guys listen to this on Monday, we recorded it the week prior. So there's probably some stuff that's going to happen over the weekend that we're not going to talk about, but we'll talk about on the next show.
Exactly.
It's a nice thing about having a weekly show, right?
Yeah.
I did want to mention, we've been talking about this meetup. I officially put an event on our Facebook page. So it is out there.
Yeah. So May 14th.
Yeah, May 14th. Yes. And I put 7 p.m. I think that's probably the time it's going to happen. But, TBD. Just, if you're going to be there. We'll figure out the time later. But I think 7's a good time. But if you do want to come, please, go on there and say either you're interested or going. And then I hope the people that are interested later will say going or just not be interested anymore. But, listen, it's a far way out, right? It's still, 9 months away?
Yeah.
Right. So you have a lot of time.
Yeah. Which for me, I know for some people, they say that's, I can't think that far in the future. For me personally, I had to book it that far out because, obviously, traveling internationally, I do have to, it's not to say I couldn't book a quick trip, but I've personally found that, the more that I plan ahead, the less money I pay overall for things. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So that's a big factor in this one.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do plan on coming, if you do plan on joining us, that event will be on our page until we have the event. So, just make sure you go in there and say that you're coming or that you're interested or whatever. So
exactly.
You don't have to do it today. You don't have to do it tomorrow. You could do it a couple weeks before it happens. So, or even right before it happens. We want to get a good idea of numbers at some point so we can figure out where we're going to do this because, if a fair amount of people come, we got to find a space that can accommodate that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, you want to start doing some listener questions?
Yeah. Let's get into this because, so I would like to. Yeah, we've got a lot of things to talk about with the Disney news. So yeah, let's just get into this. So I guess I'll start with Vicky's here. So Vicky says we usually stay in studios to stretch our points and come for around 4 weeks. Since our last 2 trips have been canceled, we have a lot. She puts in caps of points to use next summer, assuming the borders are open. We don't want to go crazy with our points, and we'll bank some of them so we can splurge the following year. So instead of doing a studio next year, we're going to do one bedrooms. We enjoy split stays and will happily do a few. We can't afford 1 bedrooms for our entire stay. Which would you stay at? We have a 15-year-old boy and 11-year-old girl, so rooms where they don't have to share a bed would be great, but they're used to it, so they don't mind. Okay, so 1-bedroom resorts. I think I already know your answer to this.
You might not know.
So let's pretend it's not Boardwalk. And where would you stay?
To stretch point. So she wants the, so it's a good question. And they're going to come for around 4 weeks. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to stretch points, I don't think you can do any better stretching points than at Saratoga Springs or Old Key West, right? That's the place to go in my mind.
Yeah, and actually, to that end, if you're staying that long, it's those resorts are a good opportunity to have some downtime. They're far enough away. I like really all the resorts are quiet. Honestly, in my opinion, even Sorry, I will disagree with anyone that says that the Poly's too loud with the boats. They don't
boat horns.
Me. Yeah, I don't. Whatever. But yeah, I think Old Key West and Saratoga are, you know, they're far enough away from the parks that it kind of feels like you're removed from the normal park atmosphere, I guess. Like if I was going to do a split stay and I was specifically looking at one bedroom, I would try those resorts just for the sake of exploring the resorts. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, those would be high on the list. And then I think I would look at that, and I would look at Animal Kingdom. I think would be my two.
Yeah, that's a good choice too.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a split stay, because kind of like you said, if you're going to be there for that long, you know, you have some down days. Animal Kingdom is great for a down day because you can, you know, just hang out, look at the animals. They have really nice pools there. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff you could do there. So I also will mention too. Let me see here. I want to make sure that this is correct before I say it. Oh, actually, no, I'm wrong about this. I thought for some reason that the Saratoga one bedrooms were a little bit larger than some of the other ones, but actually it's not. I just pulled up some info here on DVC info and looking at some of the other resorts, and it looks like there's some pretty nice sized ones. Yeah, so if you go to like an Animal Kingdom Kidani one bedroom Savannah is actually one of the bigger ones that you can get. 807 square feet according to this. So there you go. That's a nice size. I mean, and then, you know, like a Saratoga they have down is 714. So it's like a full, you know, like 100 more square feet. So
it's like an extra closet or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and then at Saratoga, you're going to, with a one bedroom, you're going to get the king size bed and the one queen size sleeper sofa. So, you know, they're going to have to share a bed.
Right. Yeah. I guess, to that end about sharing a bed is that you do have to, I guess, the next look at resorts that have the little pull down beds. Right?
Yeah.
So, Riviera has that in a one bedroom, don't they? Or I thought they did.
They might.
I know there's. So the thing is, I know the studios do, or I know a lot of the studios have those configurations, but I haven't looked into how many one bedrooms have that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually don't know. That's off the top of my head, I don't. Yeah, it looks like DVC Info hasn't updated this. Come on, DVC Info, get on this. I don't. There's no Riviera on here, so I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure we could look it up pretty quickly. But
I'm seeing if I can find anything on pull down beds.
Yeah. I think they do. Beds. I'm pretty sure Riviera has the pull down bed. Yeah. Like the one from the wall. They have the Murphy bed one.
Right. But that's still like, it's like a queen size or a double or a queen size bed.
I think it's a queen. I think it's a queen. Yeah. I believe it's a queen.
Yeah.
And then, you know, wow, I'm just looking, you know, Old Key West might be a good option for you. Just look at Old Key West. Old Key West has like the biggest rooms of all of the one bedrooms. So that might be the way to go. There was Old Key West I was thinking of, not Saratoga, that had the really big rooms. I knew one of them had much bigger rooms, and that's Old Key West does. And it has a king size bed, a queen size sleeper sofa, and a sleeper chair. So you could do the sleeper chair if you really want to.
Yeah. So here's actually, I just sent you this link. I found another site, dvcreservations.com. Oh, yeah. They actually have a nice layout of the different room configurations. So looking at one bedrooms, Animal Kingdom has it. Bay Lake Tower would be another good one, a king, queen sofa, and the chair bed. So you know, for your kids, you can have the split up, or you know, they can have separate beds. Boardwalk doesn't. So sorry, Tom. Boardwalk is
Boardwalk is not a good use of points anyway. So
Old Key West does as well, and then Saratoga has the king, a Murphy, and a bunk bed.
Yeah.
So there's a few options there.
I'm assuming by the bunk bed they mean the one that pulls out from under the TV.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Is so that one's technically like it's a pull down like a Murphy bed, but yeah.
but it comes down from under the TV. Honestly, I've always wanted to sleep in that bed. It kind of seems like nice and cozy, and just if I were, I think I'm too tall for it probably, but like I've always wanted to sleep in one of those little pull downs. They just seem nice. I don't know.
My kid enjoys it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope that helped. I mean, I'm a little jealous you're going for a month. That's amazing. I mean, I've got a lot of points built up too. I have a crazy amount of points built up. I don't even know what to do with them all. I'm going to bank it one more time, but I'm pretty sure I have more than enough to do a Grand Villa next year if I want to, which I kind of want to do. I just feel like that would be kind of awesome.
Just to try it, yeah.
Yeah, why not, right? Like, yeah. I mean, I would have to have people coming with me. Like, I wouldn't do a Grand Villa with 3 of us. That's just dumb. Like, that would just be stupid to do.
You wouldn't like to have an apartment to yourself, basically?
Yeah, that just seems a little crazy. I mean, I just wouldn't do that. But yeah, so, I mean, like, Vicky, what I would do, I would look at the points charts and see what the best use of your points are. I typically think that, like, an Old Key West or Saratoga are going to be the best use of your points. And like Trevor said, they're great too because they're relaxing, kind of quiet places where you can, go and do other stuff. If you want to golf, there's golf courses right there, but also there's so many different pools and they're so big and spread out. And, especially if you go to Saratoga, then you could do some Disney Springs time pretty easily, So yeah, there's some options there.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris says, with the release of extra magic hours, it seems so far to be 1 day a week. Well, let's correct this. Not extra magic hours, right? It's what are they calling it? It's
okay, let's just call it extra magic hours for now.
Whatever. Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, so with the release of extra magic hours, it seems so far to be 1 day a week for only 2 of the 4 parks. This is the nighttime hours because the daytime ones are every day in every park, right?
Yeah.
So this is just the nighttime ones that apply to DVC and Deluxe, right? So if Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom are somehow not included, which is, I mean, it's possible, this seems like not much of a perk at all. First of all, I think it's a perk regardless because even if it's only Magic Kingdom and only, I don't know why they wouldn't do Animal Kingdom. I can understand Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios has been, since Rise of the Resistance opened and Mickey and Minnie opened, has been like the place to be. I mean, it's not going to exceed Magic Kingdom, but it's been busy, right? Like the park passes have been selling out faster there than anywhere else. I think it's just possible they haven't announced it yet for those parks,
Yeah. I mean, that could be it. And it could be, again, with things coming back to normal gradually, it could be a staffing issue.
Oh, yeah, that could be it too. Yeah.
They just don't have the people right now to facilitate that. And yeah, you're right. It may come later that, as we get further into the 50th year, they'll say, hey, now we can do Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. I think part of it too may hinge because Hollywood Studios, or they just announced the nighttime show coming back for that, right?
It just came back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got to wonder specifically there if maybe they're kind of waiting until they have more nighttime type stuff to justify it because like
Fantasmic, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. because that's the other thing too is, there is Fantasmic specifically is a nighttime show. And if you're having the park open, I know what you're saying is, Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land are busy. But I feel like, or at least for me personally, Hollywood Studios, like once you've done all that stuff, you would just be standing around a lot. Like I don't feel like there would be as much of a reason to spend the evening there as I would in Epcot or Magic Kingdom. Like I just feel there's more to do.
Well, and Rise of the Resistance is not going to be available anyway, right?
Yeah, so it's not like you're going to be waiting there for because it was the same thing. So on the flip side, with Animal Kingdom, what a lot of people have done is as you get towards the end of the day with Flight of Passage, to like the wait times go way down. So that could be a perk. There again, there's enough stuff in Animal Kingdom that I could see that happening before Hollywood Studios, just because there's stuff that as the day winds down, it's like you can get in a lot of stuff really quick, which I think that's a lot of the perk is, they don't want to open up these hours and be like, hey, the park's open, but it's like, okay, great, the park's open, but I'm standing here not doing anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And we actually speculated a lot on what this was going to look like, right? And it looks like it's going to be a 2-hour time period, which you can get some stuff done. I mean, but you're not going to do a ton.
You can get a lot done in 2 hours.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I mean, it's more than an hour, right? We thought it might be an hour, right? So it's more than that. I think it's just more to come at this point, right? I don't think we can judge it based on what's going on right now, right? Like, I think we just need to wait a little bit more for them to announce more things.
Yeah. So just hold on to your top hat and monocle. You'll be able to use it in Hollywood studios at some point. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So the only ones they have listed so far are for Epcot and for Magic Kingdom. And basically 10 to midnight for Epcot, 9 to 11 for Magic Kingdom, 10 to midnight, 9 to 11. So, and they only have a few dates listed so far. There's only 4 dates on here that I see. So it's, there's going to be more. Just got to wait.
Actually, I wonder if that's also balancing with like Boo Bash.
Oh, yeah, it has to, right? Yeah. Well, and that almost makes me wonder if Fantasmic is coming back sometime soon, because maybe they're just waiting on that to really figure out when these nights will be, or maybe they won't do Fantasmic every night. Maybe they'll do it only a couple nights a week. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe they'll just delay it because they may have some plans for Christmas stuff in Hollywood studios. I don't know.
There could be a lot of reasons why. I mean, I can't imagine being the person that has to come up with the schedules for this stuff, because with all the special events that are going on, and then with trying to add these kinds of things in, and there's probably it's probably a nightmare to figure out all this stuff. So
yeah,
I'm sure we'll hear more soon enough. So patience, everyone.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm reading the next question here, and
this is an obvious answer for you, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know why you put it on here for me. So Connor.
That's fair.
Yeah. Connor says, if you could have one DVC contract with 150 points, what would you pick? Let's assume all points charts, expiration days, costs, dues were exactly the same, and you could only stay at one resort for the entirety of the contract. Polly, done.
Yeah, exactly. I knew you were going to say that. See, now I have I have an answer that, might, probably won't surprise you. The answer is Boardwalk.
But it is different from where you have points, at least.
Well, yeah, because first of all, it's hard to buy points at Boardwalk, right? Like, just right now. Like, it's just in general hard. They don't come up often. They're expensive. It's you don't want to, I don't want to buy points at Boardwalk because there's not that much left on the contract either. I mean, there's a good amount of years left, but it's not like my Animal Kingdom contract, which, when I bought it had like 45 years on it,
Mm-hmm.
But still, so let's say we reset the clock on all that, and all the points charts, expiration dates, cost, dues were the same as everything else. I'm going Boardwalk. That's easy.
Yeah, no, that that totally would make sense and actually, sorry, now that I've been staying at the Poly as much as I have, I say that now. If we went back to when I initially was looking at DVC, I actually would have said Grand Californian, because that's where we were originally looking to get points.
Well, any Disneyland person's going to say Grand Californian, right? Like, because that's your only option, and B, also extraordinarily difficult to book and get. It's just difficult, right?
Right. And I mean, I've stayed there cash, which, I mean, that was enough that got me looking at it. Like, that resort is pretty, I mean, it's Wilderness Lodge basically, but attached to a theme park, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, maybe ask this question again in 5 years and the answer might be different, but yeah, right now my answer's Polly.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that was going to be the answer, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's a good one. I honestly, I put that on there just because I knew it was going to be your answer. So, and I just had to put it in there.
Fair enough.
So Dan says, with Magical Express phasing out and the Brightline train being delayed indefinitely, I'm surely not the only Disney traveler looking at flights to Tampa. Why wouldn't MCO, which is Orlando Airport, try to work with Disney and Mears to keep the Magical Express running, even with some fee attached? Well, there is. And we're actually going to talk about it. Mears actually just announced their pricing for their version of Magical Express, right? And we'll talk about that in a few. So that's happening. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. And I guess the thing about that is, it's not MCO's job to act as mediator between Disney and Mears. Like Disney and Mears had this setup. Disney decided, or I mean, actually, we don't know the full story, but somewhere between Disney and Mears, they decided that it wasn't working anymore. And it may have been with we're all basing this on the Brightline train, right? And it could be that, Disney may have just looked at something else, cost or whatever, and said, hey, this doesn't make sense to pay the bill for this anymore, and put it back to Mears, which, stay tuned, guys. We're going to talk about the pricing around that. So I guess to answer this is, we are still going to have the Magical Express, but it's not going to be the Magical Express. It's going to be it's called Mears Connect, I believe. Yeah. And the funny thing is that, and I've said this before, I've already seen this because this is how it was set up for LAX to Disneyland. It was, and I believe it was actually operated. They've since shut it down because, I can't, I don't know if it was Mears. I'd have to go back and look, but
who it was. Yeah.
I
don't remember who it was either, but
but there was a company that was doing it, but then same thing as it got to a point where there was enough people finding alternative ways of getting there that it wasn't profitable for them. The difference being, from Orlando Airport to, any of the theme park resorts, like this is going to be a thing that's in demand for a very long time. So
yeah, it's interesting to me because we talked about this, right? What was it? Magical Express only started in 2005, right? So it's only been around for like 15 years, right? So obviously before that, people found a way to get from the airport to Disney, right? Whether that be a taxi. And the interesting thing about this to me is that now we have so many more options than we had in 2005, right? I mean, we've got Uber, we got Lyft, we got, all these different, companies that will get you there. And I do see a lot of people kind of, freaking out a little bit about it. And given, like, listen, Magical Express was a great convenience, right? Because it was just like, oh, Disney's going to get me to the resort, right? And it takes a step out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
It just makes things simple.
And I think that's always been the thing is that, people want it to be, as you get off the plane, and I believe, Jeremy mentioned this when we originally talked about Magical Express being canceled, is it's, that transition into the Disney bubble starts at the airport. It's not, okay, I got to figure out where my driver is, or I got to figure out, where to get on the bus or whatever. To be fair though, the one advantage that Mears has here is literally all of that stuff is already in place for them because they can just take over where the Magical Express is. So for those of us that have been traveling there, if you want to keep using Mears, I don't think it's going to look much different than what you're doing right now. The only difference is that you're having to pay some money up front to use it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, I understand why that bothers some people because Disney's expensive enough already. It was nice that it was like included in your trip, right? But I do tend to believe, and I think I said this at the time that they canceled it, that the proliferation of all of these options of people getting to the parks, how many people did you see in the groups that were like, oh, I've been taking Uber for years anyway, or I rent my own car now because I don't like to take the bus system, or, people were doing different things already. And I think Disney saw that within their surveys, and they probably also within just the usage, right? I'm sure they knew how many people were using it. And I'm sure they just felt like it wasn't worth the expense anymore. And, unfortunately, that's the thing that happens sometimes with a business. And that really stinks because it really just inconveniences a lot of people and it's an additional expense. But, I do think it's partly because people were choosing other options and didn't like that the Magical Express took you to the airport 3 hours early or that you had to stop at 5 resorts before you got to your resort. I think there were people that really didn't like that. Listen, the bag check was convenient. Like, them taking your bag right to your resort was great. But again, some people don't want to wait 4 hours for their luggage to show up either. That's the thing that some people don't want to do either. So, I understand why people are upset. I really do. I also think there were some cons to Magical Express that people didn't like and were using other methods already. And this is just kind of going to accelerate that move to that. But again, even if you want to continue doing Magical Express, there's going to be an option that's basically Magical Express.
Yeah. And the funny thing is I saw somebody commented on there, I saw in a group, somebody posted and they said, oh, they're offering, Mears is offering this thing. And they went, I don't know how I feel about this because, it stops at multiple resorts. And I went, wait a minute. You obviously never took the Magical Express before because that's exactly what it did. So
it used to stop at like 5. It would stop at like 5 resorts.
Yeah. So to your point, I think a lot of people had an idea of what the Magical Express was, or they liked the idea of it. But yeah, to your point, I don't think there was as many people using it or, actively using it that we think there was. Like, we used it and we did the, a couple of trips ago, it was like, hey, we had to stop at like Pop Century and I can't remember. It was Pop Century and there was one other resort before we even got to the Poly. So yeah, it was like a huge round trip before we got to our resort. So
yeah, and some people don't like that, and some people didn't like that. The 3 hours early thing, that was the thing I always heard people complaining about, right? Is that they'd, their flight was at 11, but they had to get on Magical Express at 8 o'clock, or even earlier than that, and so people didn't like that,
So our departure day was we would check out at 11. We would have to be on the Magical Express by 1, so we could catch our flight by 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and some people don't want to do that. They'd rather just grab an Uber, there's a lot of other options these days. So we'll talk about this more when we get to the Mears Connect.
Yeah. Let's circle back on this. So Dan, I think we kind of answered your question.
I think so.
But,
all right. You want to do Francisco's?
Yeah. So Francisco says you're given the opportunity as a Disney Imagineer to imagine or reimagine a restaurant. Where are you adding it or replacing? What is your theme and what specialty items would you like to include? This could include character dining, family, sit down, quick serve, or stand, or any combination.
That's a really broad question there.
Yeah. So if we could reimagine a restaurant,
I want to turn Liberty Tree into, that Muppet show that they were doing in Liberty Square there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Do that show inside Liberty Tree. Like, keep it the same theme, kind of, but make it like that Muppets, like, fun thing that they do.
Right.
That's my idea. That's what you get. There it is.
Okay. All right. What I would, so this is entirely rose-colored glasses that I'm working off of here. But I would like to see Pizza Planet be reinvented.
Be a real place.
Well, no, so it was. So
well, yeah, I know, but like be like the real Pizza Planet.
Yeah. So what I would like to see is like in Toy Story Land, I'm sure Woody's Barbecue is great and whatever, but redo Pizza Planet and make it like old school 90s Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. And you all know what I'm talking about. Like not the silly ticket games. Don't give me the ones that are more neon lights than actual video game. I want basically like how Disney Quest used to be with all, the arcade games and the skee ball and all that stuff as a Pizza Planet and put it actually in Toy Story Land.
Have to be the Pizza Planet playset.
Yeah.
That they shrunk down to. Yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to have Pizza Planet, you got to have like the full thing, right? You got to have like the robot guards at the door that like open their.
Yeah, totally. You
got to have that whole thing.
Yeah. Go all in on it. Right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I 100%. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what other things you could do. I mean, there's so much you probably could do, and I'm just like off the top of my head not thinking. I think I feel like there was talk about this with the Splash Mountain retheme, but I feel like doing like Tiana's restaurant from that movie would be cool, right?
Now, the interesting thing is we already have in New Orleans Square in Disneyland, there is like it's New Orleans style food at the New Orleans Cafe. That I could see it's close enough there, and because it's right next, actually the weird thing is that it's not right next to Splash Mountain, and Haunted Mansion is between Splash Mountain and New Orleans Square, or rather like there's a bit of separation there, but Haunted Mansion actually, that one does kind of fit in as that bayou type mansion. So
Yeah.
So it could, like, they could turn that into like a whole, I don't know. I mean, it would be weird because Haunted Mansion would be in the middle, but you could, like, have like the Tiana or the Princess and the Frog Splash Mountain and then the restaurant in New Orleans Square.
I think that's what you got to do. Like, I think people would really like that. You know, I'm saying at Disney World. I'm not even saying Disneyland. I'm saying at Disney World. Like, I don't know where you'd have to add a whole new restaurant, right? Because there's not really a restaurant.
We need a land, actually. We need a New Orleans Square in Disney World.
Yeah, that would be tough to pull off in Disney World unless you had it like really disjointed, and you know, had it somewhere really far off of Splash Mountain, because there's, you know, it's basically Splash Mountain is there, and then there's, I don't want to say there's not a lot around it, but there's kind of not a lot around it.
There's bathrooms, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much, right? And there's a train station, and that's it. So
Big Thunder,
Yeah, Big Thunder, but Big Thunder is close, but not that close. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, it's got a little gap there too, right? I mean, so it's, I mean, where do you put a restaurant there? But I think that would be a cool thing to have. I agree with your Pizza Planet idea, though. That would be cool. You know what I'd like to see actually too? And they have this, I think, on one of the Disney cruise ships. I would love to see like a Wreck-It Ralph, like, but with Sugar Rush, like a Sugar Rush, like ice cream parlor, or like candy place or something.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking like Litwax originally, but no. Like,
no.
Like
well, that would be cool too. Yeah. I'm thinking like, I'm thinking like a Sugar Rush kind of thing, which I think they do have that on one of the cruise ships. But that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, actually, that would be neat. Now that you've got me thinking about it, is like the Candy Kingdom, kind of vibe to it, right?
Yeah, but not like one of those off-the-shelf places where you, like, you know, you go and just scoop your candy into a bag. Like, there's got to be something more to it than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so actually, now that you've got me thinking about this, what would be cool is, you know how they're kind of using, like, with the Star Wars hotel that we're going to be talking about, or the Starcruiser?
Yes.
How, like, you've got the viewing out into space kind of thing.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they did something where you walked into like a candy store or an ice cream parlor, but then it looks like there's a window, but it's looking out into the Candy Kingdom. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, that would be really interesting. And then like maybe you could see like the racers going by in the background and stuff like that.
Well, they should just make like a cabinet arcade game of Sugar Rush. I mean, like they should just have that as an existing thing, right? Like who doesn't want to play that?
Knock off Mario Kart. But,
yeah. That's exactly what it is, right? I mean, it's knockoff Mario Kart. That's all Sugar Rush is, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think that'd be kind of cool. Even if you could like make like, if you could like do like a build your own like racer thing, like they do with the mini game, but using candy, like that would be a cool activity you could do in this place that I just made up. It also
it's like the droid building, but with the
Somebody's probably going to write in and be like, "That's the exact experience that you have on the cruise ship." But
well, sorry, we don't get on cruise ships very often, so
yeah. I mean, I'm going to at some point. I'm going to Google this now because I want to see like if, because I don't want anybody, because, okay, let's see, Vanellope Sweets and Treat Shop. This is exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, so this isn't really an original idea. So, but it just kind of looks like it just looks like it's a sweets place. It's like, it doesn't look like there's like a thing where you build a racer or anything. Oh, wait, there's a racer. Oh, no, wait. Okay. That's just like a thing you can eat a sundae out of. You don't build it yourself.
It's a pre-made one.
Yeah. This looks cool. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty standard fare.
Yeah,
candy shop, but
I'd spend my whole time on the cruise just there. Like that's the only thing I would do is just stay there.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is, they've got like those fiberglass, character displays, which is cool. Like the overall aesthetic is very cool, and it fits Sugar Rush. But what I was thinking, kind of like how they did the PIM labs, right? Where there's like the stuff moving by and going through the shrinking machine and stuff. Like,
did we ever talk about the cruise ship thing they're doing with that? And did we talk about that on the episode? Because I'm still baffled by the whole thing.
I don't remember.
I don't think it did. We? Because I'm like, you know what I'm talking about? Where like it's for the new Disney Wish ship, where there's like, you have like I forget what it even was. Like you have something on your table and like you push a button and it like shrinks the cupcake in front of you. And at first I was just like, oh, they're doing one of those little promotional videos that's exaggerated. And then they're like, no, this is going to happen. Like this is the thing that's going to happen on your table. It's like, wait a second, but how? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I think we briefly mentioned it, but I'm still of the belief that was just promotional.
I guess we're going to find out. I don't know. I'm confused by it. But what were we talking about before that?
Anyway, so we were answering Francisco's question, which
okay,
I think we did.
All right. Anyway,
yeah. So at this point, do we want to get into the news first, or
yeah? We could do this, and then we'll do our ad after we talk about DVC.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny because we were just literally last episode, someone asked like, what's a perk that they don't have right now that you would want to see them do? And then like a couple days later, they announced that DVC members are going to get a special Squeak peek of Remy's Ratatouille adventure. And I had posted this in the group as it being a new perk, and then somebody pointed out to me, and I appreciate it because
it's happened
totally
before.
Forgot.
Yeah.
I totally forgot they did it with Avatar. I mean, it's been years now. I just forgot.
Right.
So, but again, this is great, right? This is a cool benefit. I love this idea, and I hope they do it always. And I know I've been seeing in the Facebook groups today and some of the DVC groups that people are starting to get their emails. Inviting them to do this sneak peek. I wish I were there for this. I would love to like get on it early, but this also kind of annoys me too, because it tells you that this ride has been done and is done, because they're doing this in September, and they're just waiting.
Right. But I mean, again, like I've said before, I think they didn't want to just open it up when they were still kind of refiguring out the new restrictions and all that. So yeah, the ride being done is really secondary to just day-to-day operations. And I just had a realization that, if they're doing this for Ratatouille, maybe we'll get the same thing for Tron.
I mean, I'm betting so. I mean, Tron's a big ride, right? But it's not
right.
Like any bigger than Avatar Flight of Passage was. Like, so why wouldn't they, right?
But we never got this for Galaxy's Edge or Toy Story Land or anything like that, though, right?
Did they for Toy Story Land? Now I'm like questioning myself. I almost feel like they did do it for Slinky Dog at least. Someone should write in and remind me, because I feel like they did.
If they didn't, or if they're being selective about when they do these previews, then yeah, maybe Tron's not on the table. But you're right. It's great that they're doing this for Ratatouille. Doesn't really affect me personally, because I'm not going to be there.
Even
like I was actually originally planning to go in October, and we canceled that because of just the way things have been going.
Yeah.
But yeah, this may actually shape how I decide to do a couple of trips next year, because if they announce that, there's a Tron sneak peek, I may actually try to schedule around that.
Yeah, and honestly, we have no idea when Tron's going to open at this point, right? Like, there's been no indication of that. Although, I don't know if you saw this as an aside, right? But I've seen people posting pictures of some mysterious structure they're building. Have you seen this? They're like, all of a sudden, really quickly, just built like this 2-story structure made out of steel, like on the Tron grounds. And people are speculating that it's going to be a tunnel for the train, right? For the Walt Disney World Railroad. That's what people have been saying. I don't know why I can't say railroad. Okay. But people are speculating that that's what it is. And I'm thinking to myself, like, they've been rushing to do this. And I'm like, maybe they're trying to get the railroad open by the 50th, which they should. Right? Like, the railroad should be open for the 50th. Like, you can't have the Walt Disney World Railroad not open for the 50th. But, I mean, they haven't said anything about it. So, but they've been, like, rushing this, like, little building. So a lot of people think it's, like, a tunnel for the train. But I don't know.
Really?
I have no idea.
It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't look like a tunnel to me either. It doesn't look like a tunnel to me either. Yeah, it's a box. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you looked it up? Yeah. But I don't know what else it could be either. Like, apparently it is on the path of where the train could be going. So I have no idea. I have no idea, Trevor. All this stuff is happening very quickly. But I mean, I guess it's feasible they could build a building in 2 months and get that done, right? I mean,
I mean, if it's, I shouldn't say, it's a temporary structure because, I mean,
it looks pretty permanent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from Disney standards, it may be temporary. It may be something that's only there for a year or two. Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see what that is. I know that's an aside, but I was just, but I mean, I don't know. It should be interesting to see what they do with Tron, because I don't know if Tron is, do you consider Tron Flight of Passage level, or do you consider it Rise of the Resistance level? Like, because obviously Rise of the Resistance is like a different animal where they have to have the key, the virtual queue, and like, I don't know if they're going to go that direction with Tron. We have no indication they're going to do that with Ratatouille, right?
So I think if there was an option when Flight of Passage came out, they would have used it. I believe that Flight of Passage at launch and Rise of the Resistance are on the same level, because Flight of Passage was the, people lined up and the lineup was already like out of Africa and halfway through Animal Kingdom, right?
Yeah, like if they had the virtual queue at the time, they might have done it for Flight of Passage too, you think?
Because people were waiting 6+ hours to get on the ride.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we saw what it would look like without the virtual queue for Rise of the Resistance, right? With Avatar. So
exactly, yeah. What that would have been is the same thing. Is there would have been a lineup out of Galaxy's Edge, down like probably over towards Indiana Jones.
Yep, maybe even further.
yeah, maybe all the way back to the main street. But I think Tron's on the same level. I think Tron will have a. They won't call it a boarding pass. I'm trying to think of what the terminology would be in Tron.
Oh yeah, it'd have to be something specific for Tron, right?
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
because everything's programmed, or the people are programs in that, but I
don't know. Guess we'll have to wait to see what they do, but because we don't even know what it's opening at this point, they haven't even announced anything, so.
Be like your grid pass or something.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, grid pass. Yeah. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But if any of our listeners are going to the sneak peek, let us know, or Squeak Peek, I should say. Let us know. We'd love to hear what you think of it. So. Yep. Yeah. The only other thing for DVC news I had on here was that the Animal Kingdom Club level lounge is reopening on August 26th. The only reason I put this on here is because we talked about the lounges, right? I don't remember what context, but we were talking about the club level rooms, and this is a club level lounge that I've been to, that I went to on my honeymoon. So this is opening August 26th. They just announced it, and a bunch of the lounges are reopening, but this is actually going to be the first one, I believe.
So just so I'm clear on this, because I don't think I've ever used a club level lounge, is that this is where like the concierge and you get like the snacks and
the food and the drinks and the breakfast and all that fun stuff. So
okay.
Yeah, a bunch of the other ones are opening August, September, December for some of them. So it looks like they're just kind of spread out. So doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it, but whatever.
Which again, it's baby steps to the next, things getting back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so why don't we go ahead and do our ad? Because there's not a lot to talk about with the lounge stuff. I just wanted to put that on there. It's DVC news, right? Kind of. It's not really DVC news, but it's, because anybody can stay club level. But there are club level rooms that are available to DVC members. So,
it applies to Animal Kingdom DVC, so that's fair.
There you go. Yeah, that's the only reason I put it in there, is because Animal Kingdom. All right, let me go ahead and do our ad for DVC Rental Store. All right, so the DVC Rental Store, a World of DVC company, offers magical vacations at incredible value. Save up to 60% off retail rates at premium Disney resorts. DVC Rental Store now includes deposits as low as 25% at the time of booking and a built-in cancellation policy for every reservation. And as always, DVC Rental Store pays out the most to members looking to rent their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 1-855-382-7368. And of course, let them know that Welcome Home sent you. I might have to call them to offload some of my points. I don't know. I get so many points. So our Fab 50 watch back. We got more announcements. So it's funny, though, because remember, Trevor, we were talking about this last episode, right? Where that list of 50 that we had separate people that would probably be together, and we're seeing that already, right? Yeah. So like Woody and Bo Peep is one that was just announced. That's one combined statue that was listed as 2 on that list of 50, right?
So Bo Peep was not on that list, though.
You're right, though. That's actually true. Bo Peep was not on the list.
Yeah. So that to me invalidates that list right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That list is done. It's wrong. Yeah. I mean, forget the fact that there was one princess on it, but
yeah, exactly.
We also got Donald Duck, which,
obvious.
Everyone knew. Yeah, obvious. But
so and should probably mention. So Woody and Bo Peep is going to Hollywood Studios.
Yep.
Donald Duck is going to Magic Kingdom.
I believe Donald Duck will be in the front, right? With I think they're all going to be in the hub there.
Yeah. So this last one though, it makes sense, and honestly, I didn't think about it that much, but the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, that was on the rumored list too. Yeah.
Was it? I didn't remember seeing.
It was the Cheshire.
I remember commenting on the Mad Hatter, and I would have I actually like the Cheshire Cat better than.
Oh, P.S. The Mad Hatter was also announced too. It's not on this list here, but the Mad Hatter was announced earlier today. So, so Mad Hatter and Cheshire Cat. So both of them. So
okay,
and it looks like both of them
they're in
will
Magic Kingdom as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let me see, Mad Hatter, Magic Kingdom. Yep, I'm assuming they're going to put it right by the Tea Party, right?
How could they not? I mean, it goes right in Fantasyland there.
Yeah.
Not right outside. Don't put it right outside the bathrooms where that. Did you see the lake that formed out there?
Oh yeah, but I feel like that happens a couple times a year, and people forget that it happens a couple times a year. So every time it's a story, but it's it happens all the time.
it just looked funny because there was kids splashing around and then people sitting on the bench just not caring.
Yeah. It is interesting though, because I feel like it happens at least once or twice a year where they have such heavy rain that it can't drain fast enough, and it seems like they have some drainage problems in the Tomorrowland Fantasyland area. Not Fantasyland, yeah. The Tomorrowland Fantasy.
Tomorrowland has issues. I don't know what that says about tomorrow.
Issues with drain. I feel like I always see it in Tomorrowland and nowhere else.
Well,
right?
it's in that particular area. It was
that general area is where the problems always are.
Yeah, so I guess you may see gold statues floating there if you catch it at the right time of year.
I mean, they're pretty heavy. I'm gonna assume. I would think. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna They're probably not gonna nail them down or anything or mount, right. They're gonna be so heavy. I would think, right? I don't know. But
maybe they're hollow or they're not actually made of solid gold.
That's a possibility. They probably aren't made of solid gold. I'm sure they're just gold plated something, right?
Yeah,
I would think so. I mean, who knows? But
they're like those chocolate eggs that you get that you unwrap them and then you're all excited because you have the chocolate egg and then it turns out that it's completely hollow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, although
do you kind of feel like Woody should be with Buzz and not with Bo Peep?
No, because
we're going Toy Story 4. Okay.
Yeah, after Toy Story 4, Woody and Bo Peep makes sense. So
I guess if Toy Story ended at 3, then it should have been Woody and Buzz, right? But I guess yeah, okay, yeah. Spoilers for Toy Story 4 if you haven't seen it.
But you may this way you may get Buzz and Jessie, right?
I'm hoping to get Buzz and Jessie, right? I think that's, but I also hope that there's Buzz and Jessie, and then there's another one that's Rex, Potato Head, Slinky Dog. You know what I mean? I feel like we need those too.
But then these statues get crazy big if you were gonna here is the whole cast of Toy Story, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think even if you just had Rex and Potato Head, I feel like I'd be okay. Just do those two together, Would you? Are you thinking that you would have Slinky over Miss Potato Head? I mean,
yeah,
I would over Rex.
I would. Oh, I would do Slinky and Rex.
Wow, Slinky and Rex. No love to Mr. Potato Head.
He's not my favorite.
All right, that's fair. All right, let's talk. I have a general section here called Disney World updates, and one of them is that we now know that Disney World will resume annual pass sales by the 50th anniversary. So that's cool.
Now, so this was said.
as part of the Magic Key announcement.
Yeah. So this actual announcement came alongside the announcement of the new annual passes for Disneyland, which we'll get into. But they kind of put it in there as a footnote saying, and we'll be offering annual passes before October 1st. So that doesn't mean that they will start on October 1st. That means sometime before October 1st, we'll be getting annual passes back again.
And here's the thing, like, just the way Disney is very careful about the way they word stuff, right? Like, they're very careful about this. I don't think that there's going to be wholesale changes to the annual passes like there is for Disneyland, right? Because Disney World didn't scrap their whole program. They just stopped selling the annual passes, right? So, and they're specifically saying that they're going to resume annual pass sales. To me, that means they're just going to resume selling them like they were. Now, there might be some price changes. There might be some changes to like how, with the reservation system and all that, there could be some of that, but I don't think it's going to be the whole, because otherwise they would have said we're retiring an annual pass program like they did for Disneyland and said we're going to come up with something new. And they didn't say that. They were pretty specific that they just stopped selling them and now they're going to resume selling them.
Yeah. And so, we'll get into this a bit more with it, but the big thing in Disneyland was that they had way more tiers of annual pass than Disney World did. And also there was no reservation system before. They did implement it with the annual passes in Disney World. So you're right. It won't be as big of a change because we've already kind of got part of what they implemented in Disney World.
Yeah, because you could still, Disneyland, they literally just canceled everybody's annual passes, refunded people. Like, they didn't do that at Disney World. If you already had an annual pass, you could still renew it. Like, you could still get an annual pass at Disney World. You just couldn't buy new ones. So to me, when they start reselling these again, I think the only change is maybe the price is going to be different. But outside of that, I think it's going to be pretty much the same as it was. It's not going to be a whole new program like Disneyland is, and we'll talk about that in a few. But
now my big question is, will the Gold Pass still be offered to DVC
That's
members?
A question.
Yeah,
I think so. But I can't imagine them not having that, because
if I
feel
can't
like they
get
need
a Gold Pass, I'm going to be really annoyed.
Yeah, I think they would have a DVC member revolt if they didn't offer that, right?
Yeah, people are already clamoring so much for park tickets. Like, yeah.
I wonder what they're waiting for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they waiting for? Because I feel like this isn't necessarily a staffing thing, right? Like, I don't know. Like, what are they waiting for to start selling these again?
Probably, I mean, like, so, sorry, I'm going to put my IT hat on again here for a minute, is that, in IT, I can flip a switch and I can do something in a moment. Like, I could say, oh yeah, I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to, spin up an entire server infrastructure and go. But you have something called change control, which is, you have to communicate, you have to plan, you have to make sure that people are ready to support whatever it is you're standing up. So it may not just be a matter of, oh yeah, we're selling it again. They may need to make sure that, they've got training to all their people that are, when you call in and say, hey, I want to buy a pass, they know what the options are. I mean, I know, we all call into to member services and, or not even member services, but like just calling like Disney for anything. And sometimes, people don't know what's going on, or they don't have information around a specific thing. But I think for something like this, they want to make sure they have at least base information down about what the new passes are and what's changed, so that it's not a bunch of people calling and going, I want this annual pass, and cast members kind of being like, I don't know, let me get my supervisor.
Well, that's the other problem, right? Is their phone system is already just crushed with people in general, right? So
yeah,
they're already having a hard time dealing with that. So honestly, maybe they're just waiting till they can get more people into their call center. So, because once once annual passes open back up, they are going to get crushed with annual pass sales.
Totally.
People are just waiting for this, right?
Yeah.
So. All right. So, sneak peek of 50th anniversary merch. Did you take a look at this?
So I've been trying to look at this, but for some reason the pictures are all really distorted. I can't actually see what.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a little weird. Let me give you.
So I'm guessing one of these is a soap dispenser. It looks like, and then I can see like part of a plate.
Yeah. So they finally are bringing the Mickey soap dispenser from overseas to the States, which. Yeah. I don't know why it took them so long to do that, because it's a tremendously popular thing. And I know there's knockoffs like all over Facebook. Like, and in fact, I actually have one of those knockoffs. It was given to me as a gift, and I have a soap dispenser that does like the Mickey, it doesn't work great because it's not a legit one. It's like I said, it's a knockoff one, but it works. I mean, and it's kind of cool. I mean, it's fun to use. So I'm glad they're finally bringing this along. So yeah, from what I can see, the first one looks like some sort of statue that are going to be able to buy of the castle, right?
Yeah.
And then the soap dispenser, and you're right, I think that's a plate. It's a cool looking plate though. I like it. And then the hat, then the ear hat with the iridescent ears, it looks like. So they did also say to come back on Friday, August 6th, which if you're listening to this, that already happened. So go to the Disney Parks blog and they'll have more merchandise stuff that they're going to reveal. So we'll probably talk about that in the next episode. But if you don't want to wait, go to the Disney Parks blog, go check that out, because they're going to release some stuff, or they have released some stuff. I gotta remember when we're recording this and then when actually people are listening to it. So so far this looks cool. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really neat stuff that they put out. So it's a fun preview. All right, Mears Connect.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
So yeah, we already started talking about this. So as of January 1st, 2022, Magical Express goes away, and now you can go right now to mearsconnect.com and book your service options. Right now there's two options, standard and premium. Standard is basically what the Magical Express is right now. You get there and they say that they will have you on the way to your resort within 20 minutes of your check-in at the Mears reception area. So that means, they should have a bunch of shuttles waiting there and they'll get you there. And this is, it's $32 per adult.
Round trip.
Yeah, round trip. $16 for a single. I don't know why you would do single trip.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, $13.50 per child on a single trip, and then
a premium round trip is $200 for up to 4 people, which the premium takes you straight to your resort, so you don't have to stop or wait or anything like that.
So my thing about that is I've already looked into alternative means of transportation, because when we found out the Magical Express was being canceled, we were like, well, we might as well, try some of these other ways of getting to the resort. Yeah. So I've already gone and booked a town car service, and it came in way cheaper than $200.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And
that seems a little pricey.
Yeah. And that's, again, direct to my resort. So I can't see, I mean, I'm sure some people will pay this $200, but that's definitely not for me.
I feel like the 32 round trip for adults is not terrible.
Yeah. But that comes in at, around $100 for your transportation. Not too different from what I've done going to California. So, yeah.
But I mean, I've also, seen a lot of people, like an Uber comes in around $40 to $50, right? So if you do like an Uber X from the airport. So again, I mean, it really just kind of depends on what you want to do. And there, obviously there's no baggage service here, so they're not doing the baggage service. So, but I mean, that doesn't mean they're not going to carry your bags. You can, they'll put your bags onto the bus and, take them to your resort. So you still have that. It's just, the only difference of like them not delivering it directly to your room. I mean, they kind of still will, because when you get off the bus, you'll take your bags off. The Bell Services people will put it on in one of those carts and take it up to your room, right? I mean, the only difference is that it doesn't magically show up in your room when you're not there.
I mean, my personal opinion on that is the one time that I used the luggage tags and had it delivered to my room, we needed our bags sooner than that. Like we ended up waiting around for our bags to show up. And that happened to be our stay at Caribbean Beach too. So it was not the best trip either.
Yeah.
But, waiting for the bags and all that, that turned me off of that service entirely, because I was like, well, that's great. You got to basically pack another suitcase or a day pack to make sure that, they'll get it there, but it's a matter of whether or not it'd be, on your, or in a time that's convenient for you. So, to your point, it's just as easy for me to take my luggage and, have someone put it onto the bus and then unload it, and then I can walk it to the room myself.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you could have it, immediately. That was one of those, the luggage delivery service was convenient in some ways if you didn't need your bags right away. But if you could wait for them for 4 hours, sure. That's fine. But,
yeah,
it makes it a little bit tough if you need your bag right away. But yeah, I mean, this isn't all that different, right? You got to go get your bag at the carousel and they'll put it on the bus for you. And then you take it off the bus, give it to Bell Services, and they bring it to your room. It's not all that different. It's just, a little bit different. But again, I mean, I could see this being a good option for people that have kids in car seats, because I feel like that's a pain when you have like an Uber or something like that, right? To make sure that they have a car seat and it's installed correctly, all that kind of stuff. I would rather do the bus in that case if I needed a car seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. But the thing is I've even, looking at these different services, a lot of the town car services and whatnot, like outside of Uber, if you go through, there's a bunch of companies that offer them. A lot of them do account for that because they know that, it's families with small kids. So, they will offer, you can fit so many car seats in it, or, if you're getting like a shuttle van, they have a limited number of car seats or whatever.
Yeah.
So, it's not impossible to get, like, it's not a matter of, well, you're only getting on the shuttle or you're renting a car, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and there's other options too. Besides, outside of Uber and Lyft and this service, there's tons of options to get places, right? So it's not just this. You did a town car service. I'm sure there's other van services that you can use too. That aren't Mears. So
there's quite a few. Like I said, in looking around, I don't think people realize exactly how many companies there are that are just offering shuttle service, not just specific to Disney. They're basically servicing all the tourist areas in Orlando. So
exactly. Yeah. So listen, I know some people are freaking out, but there will be a way to get to your resort. There was before Magical Express existed. There is now.
And
so
I think Mears Connect is, the concern earlier about, I wish that they would still have something while we're waiting for this train to be built. Yeah. Mears Connect, it's literally still the Magical Express. It's just Disney's not paying for it anymore.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the same buses, just without the Magical Express skins on them. It's probably going to be literally the exact same buses.
Well, I was going to ask, but I realized you never had to do this. So half the time when we would go, they would be the buses picking you up from the airport. Most of the time they were the Magical Express skinned buses. So they had the decals. Coming back, it was always just a yellow Mears bus.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah.
So I have taken it before. So I did take it once or twice. And I have had family members get on and off of it, that were meeting us there. And usually when they were picking us up, it was the skinned bus. So I don't know. Maybe it's just random that you seem to have gotten a couple of the just regular buses.
But like I said, for me, at least I noticed that it seemed like, whenever they were dropping off, or I got the impression they were making an effort that, coming there, it was the Disney Magical Express and all that, but they knew going back, you didn't care that much. And it wasn't just like, for my particular pickup that it was the yellow bus. I noticed it because, the way the Poly is set up, where the bus pickup is, like if you're going to Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom, you're just you're just down from the front of the ceremonial house. So you can see these buses coming, and more than once I saw those yellow Mears buses show up. So, and this may also been because, I was kind of later to the end of Magical Express going away, they may not have cared enough, or, Mears had already maybe been planning that, hey, we're not going to bother skinning these buses because we know that this is going away. Right. So, yeah. So to me, this doesn't change a lot. It's just, I'm just paying for the ride now instead of getting it for free.
Yeah. And I don't think that this is outrageously expensive. It's kind of about what I thought it was going to be. I think,
it's totally reasonable for that kind of airport transportation.
Considering the other options, definitely, right? Especially if like an Uber is going to cost you $40 or $50, it's not that far off. I guess if you have a family of 4, it probably is going to make more sense to take the Uber, right? But
again, not always, because
it depends.
Yeah, depending on how much stuff you're traveling with, like that. One of the big advantages of having those big shuttles is that they can fit a lot of stuff in them too. So like if you have extra stuff like strollers and whatnot, you have to factor that in if you're going to get an Uber, because if they show up and, you can't fit all your stuff in plus your family of 4.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It makes sense. But, so, I mean, I guess the Uber would be $40-$50 one way. And so it's like $100. It ends up being, about the same, right? So just depends. So I'm sure some people are going to, try to figure out the best way to do it going forward. But I know it doesn't, I'm not the best person to talk about this, since I don't really get to use it. But, it's good to hear your insight on it. And, the whole idea of doing like a town car, that kind of thing. So
that's cool. And so after our next trip, I'll be able to give some more insight on, the town car versus the shuttle. And my big worry is that, kind of like how we've gotten sucked into staying at the Poly, so to speak, that, once we take a town car, we realize, there's that next level of service, or, hey, this is super convenient. Like you said, not having to, plan 3 hours ahead for your trip or whatever. If I find that that's a lot easier, I may end up just paying more for it in the future for that convenience.
Well, it's like once you go, once you stay at a deluxe resort, it's hard to go back to that value after you stay at the deluxe.
It's true. Yeah. Even, Caribbean Beach versus the Poly it's night and day, and that's a moderate. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some Galactic Starcruiser. So you non-Star Wars fans, go ahead and skip ahead.
Yeah. Well, we tell you what time to skip ahead to, but I have no idea how long this conversation is going to take.
I don't either. I don't either, because Disney is just dumping information on us about the Starcruiser. I mean,
so let's start. Yeah. So first of all, there was a commercial release, which the commercial didn't really show a lot.
It really didn't. Yeah.
But I would recommend checking it out if you're curious. The big thing is that they've got a web page that has kind of an FAQ and some more info around it. There is some sample pricing. So this is not like the definitive, this is what the price is going to be all the time. They made an example of the cost of it was August to September was the time frame. So they're kind of approaching it like cruise seasons, I guess.
Well, and even hotels, right? I mean, hotel prices vary, and so
and the big thing too, or for me, that one of the big things that I noticed was the amount of guests per cabin changes the price of the trip. Right.
Yeah, like it's a lot cheaper to stay in like a 2-bedroom in one of the big rooms and fill it up with people. It's cheaper per person than some of the smaller rooms.
Yeah. Which is so the interesting thing there is that it almost lends itself to if you happen to know another family or like, if it's, you and one other person in your family, staying as just 2 guests is more expensive than if you could find 2 other friends to split it with. Yeah. And then, you all stay there for cheaper.
Exactly. So let's talk about, well, first of all, can I mention something? I watched the trailer. I don't know if you watched the trailer. Mm-hmm. I did. It showed a couple of those things that we've been talking about of like some of the mission stuff. Like it showed a couple like scenes of somebody like handing you documents and stuff like that. So, and it showed a family in like the whole Jedi garb, right? But I thought
getting dressed up to go somewhere.
Yeah, and that was cool. I liked it. I thought it was a cool teaser trailer. But so each voyage includes a 2-night stay in a cabin or suite, which we knew, ongoing immersive and interactive entertainment where choices determine your experience, food and beverages on the Starcruiser, excluding alcohol and specialty beverages, which I think for the price they should include alcohol, but you don't think so?
No, definitely. Like
for that price, though,
this is not Epcot, and you don't want,
Well, yeah, you don't want somebody drinking way too much, right? Like you'd have to live.
Damon's guy from Ohio in the tracksuit. You don't want him drunk, right?
That's true. That's true. But it also includes a quick service meal at Docking Bay 7. So when you're down at Hollywood Studios and when you're wandering around there, you also get a meal there. It also includes, of course, it includes admission to Hollywood Studios, includes valet parking. And we were talking about how are they going to know that you're a Galactic Starcruiser guest, because you're going to have a exclusive Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser data band, which is a magic band that's a Galactic Starcruiser specific one. I guess my question is, though, like, can't people just like wear that afterwards, though? Like,
I mean, if it's a magic band, then it'll just get added to your account like any other magic band, and then
I feel like they're going to have have a way of knowing whether you're on the Starcruiser at the time or not. You know what I mean?
I wonder if they'll have seasonal magic bands. Like every season, every time they go through whatever a cycle of the Starcruiser, maybe they'll change it out every 2 or 3 months. It's kind of like the popcorn buckets, right? How they update them every couple of months or whatever, so that you can't use the same bucket from 3 years ago to get a refill.
I'm almost thinking, though, they're just going to use like the long range RFID in the band to like check the person's account and see if they're currently staying there. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, of course, if you have the magic band, or if it's on your account, it'll tell them, oh yeah, this person is on this excursion or doing this thing, right? Yeah. Because
I feel like a lot of people are going to come down and not just do this for 2 days, right? It's going to be part of their Disney vacation. It's just going to be like 2 days here, and then their vacation starts, at Disney World. And right. So if they continue wearing that data band, then they're going to need to know, the cast members that are part of the story are going to need to know whether those are Starcruiser guests or not. Right. Because you don't want those people walking into Galaxy's Edge a couple days later and being like, I'm on the Starcruiser, when you're not. Right. So they got to know some way. Right. So
I'm betting, I mean, they don't even need to use the long range, because the trap with the long range is that if the battery fails, it's not going to work anyway. So they'll probably just have you scan it, scan your magic band at a touch point like you do anything else. So, if you try to get on the Starcruiser when you're not supposed to be there.
Oh, I'm more just thinking of like the interactive stuff, like somebody at a shop within Galaxy's Edge, like giving them a mission or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's more of what I was thinking of.
You never done the Pirates League thing in Adventureland, have you?
No.
Okay, so it's probably going to be the same kind of thing there, where when you go and sign up for Pirates, or I think it was called Pirates League, or I can't remember exactly the name of it. Not like the dressing up as a pirate thing, but it's like it was a little what's it called? It's like the card game where you have like a mission that you do around. Or you get a map and you go around Adventureland, but when you go into the booth there, they scan your magic band, and then that's what registers you to it. So then when you go and you scan the other touch points, if you're not playing the game, the touch points won't do anything. So they know, they know from your magic band whether or not you're actually playing the game or not.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm betting it'll be the same thing, as it's like when they sign you in, or when they do orientation on the ship, is like when you get registered for all this stuff. And then when you go down to Galaxy's Edge, they probably already have all that stuff set up, right?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense. So, we got we should talk about the pricing. We didn't talk about any cash here. So,
back to the pricing. So, here, let me just rattle these off quick. So a two guests per cabin, they're saying $1,209 per guest per night, or $4,800 total. For 3 guests per cabin, they say 2 adults, 1 child. What if I wanted to bring another adult with me? I don't know if that changes it.
I'm sure it does, but these are just examples, right?
Right. So it's $889 per person, or total $52.99. So it's more expensive for more people, but per person it becomes cheaper. For 4 guests per cabin, it's $749 per person, which totals out to $6,000 for the group for 2 days.
It's interesting because I initially looked at the 4 guests per cabin and missed the 3 adults and 1 child thing, and so my sister really wants to do this, as does her boyfriend, and so like they're big Star Wars people, and I was texting my sister this, and she actually was like, "Oh, this is like really reasonable." She's like, "This is better than I thought it was going to be for what you're getting." And then I said to my wife, I was like, "Do you want to do this?" She goes, "Yeah, I totally do this." And I'm like, "Well, we should do it together then, like, because it ends up being cheaper, right? If we did it as 4 people instead of 2 and 2,
right?"
But then I looked at this and it was 3 adults and 1 child, so I don't know what the premium ends up being for 4 adults, right? But I'm sure it's not that much
because you're just,
eat more food. I don't know.
It's such a flimsy
I'm assuming
argument.
It's not that much.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not that much more. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what that is, because I that's something we talked about doing. So and you can look at this too. So like they have the different cabin types, right? So the standard cabin sleeps 4 to 5 passengers, has the queen bed, and then the 2 bunk beds on the wall. And there's also a pull down bed too, which I don't think they showed that before.
In the wall, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a queen bed, 2 berths, which are the bunk beds for 1 adult each, and a wall pull down bed for 1 adult if it's sleeping 5. So I didn't know that was there, right? Mm-hmm. And then they have the Galaxy class suite, which sleeps 4 passengers, and that's 2 queen beds and 2 pull down beds for 1 adult each. And then there's the Grand Captain suite, which is a 2-bedroom. And that sleeps 8 people, 2 queen beds, 2 bunk beds, 2 pull down wall beds. So you could sleep 8 in that. And all of them have the same thing: a mini fridge, a hairdryer, in-cabin safe, a phone, an interactive TV, and of course everybody's favorite H2O products. So I mean, there's some interesting options here. I mean, they never said before about the pull down bed. That is definitely news, I feel like. So
now, what do you think they mean by interactive TV? Because I mean, technically a TV with a remote is an interactive TV, but I feel like there's more to it than this.
Oh, there's definitely going to be more to it than that. Because I'm just looking at one of the top piece of concept art here, and like I think they have the TV in the background, and it looks like there's on the TV like a picture of space of some sort. So maybe like they have like a fake like live look outside kind of thing, like the window, but like maybe you're getting it from different angles. There's probably cool stuff like that, I would think.
So something I should point out in the descriptions for these 3 room types. So the standard cabin just, says, here's a standard cabin with a view into space. The Galaxy suite and the Grand Captain suite say 2 windows with a view into space and a few extra Star Wars surprises.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Look at you.
Yeah. So staying in one of these larger suites obviously has some kind of benefit, whether that's, I mean, they say a view into space and Star Wars surprises. So I'm guessing maybe the standard one, maybe you just get like the boring, you're just like looking at out and there's a planet in the distance or whatever. Maybe there's actually stuff flying by in the other suites. I don't know.
Well, and it's also worth noting too that the larger rooms have some obviously some extra room, but they have double vanity bathroom, a bar area, and then like you said, the two windows, right? So they have like almost like a little living room area, and the bar area looks kind of cool, and then different amounts of windows depending on which room you have. So it looks really cool. This I think is the first view that we've gotten of the larger rooms, right? Because I think we kept seeing the picture of just the one room. Now we're actually getting some concept art of like the Grand Captain suite, which I don't think we saw before.
Yeah, you're correct. Because that's what we were talking about was, the standard suite seemed like, well, if I have anything other than small kids, this may not work. But the larger suites look like, they're meant to fit more adults for sure. But, they just look more spacious, right? Like it looks like they've got more room to actually move around in them.
I'm laughing at a funny thing in my head where I'm looking at the standard cabin concept art, and the guy that's standing in it looks like he's wearing like a Star-Lord jacket. And I was thinking to myself, how funny would it be to like come to the Star Wars hotel dressed as like a Marvel character? Like just be completely wrong, to do a whole different cosplay.
Or no, if you're going to do wrong cosplay, you have to show up in Star Trek uniform.
Oh, that would be funny. I'm thinking like
they may not let you in though.
Yeah, they probably won't. But if I show up as Star-Lord, I mean, it's still space. I mean,
still technically Disney, but would they?
Yeah, I'm still in the same area, right? These rooms look very cool. I definitely, listen, I'm sure it's going to be super expensive, but who doesn't want to stay in the Grand Captain Suite, right?
Right. I would do that if I could find 6 other people that want to go with me. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would be fun, but we'll have to see. We don't really know what that's going to look like yet. What those prices are going to look like yet, right? We assume that the prices are going to be cheaper per guest per night for that room, but maybe it's not. I mean, they haven't actually listed that, right? So
I feel that those will be overall more expensive. Like it'll be, so it'll probably be like, how they showed the sample pricing, like 2, 3, and 4. And it may be, hey, if you want a 4-person, you have choice A, which is a standard, B or C. And again, those step up more. So like, for the 4-person, they were saying about 6,000. For a Grand Captain Suite, it could be more like 8,000 or 9,000. I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably. We'll have to wait and see, because they haven't released all the pricing yet, right? So it's just kind of sampled right now. So
yeah.
I also want to mention too, so it based on, and this is kind of like a duh thing, right? Like staying at the Starcruiser guarantees you access to Rise of the Resistance and to Smuggler's Run, so you won't have to wait in line for either one of those. You'd basically be brought to the front of the line, which makes sense. I mean, I didn't think of any. I didn't think that you'd have to wait at all. Again, for paying these prices, you're going to want to go front line to that stuff, right?
You don't think they would just throw you in the fast pass queue and be like,
right?
We'll come get you when you're done.
I don't know how that's going to work. I guess we're going to find out though, right? Like,
well, that's also, back when we were, you were talking about how they figured out the loading system for Millennium Falcon, right? Like there's different loading areas and stuff like that, right? There's probably going to be one sectioned off specifically for people that are on the Starcruiser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We also got some more information about the dining experience. So like they broke it down basically on like the first night. You're going to be able to go into, it's dining in the same place both nights, right? So in the big dining room, and it's very much like a cruise where you can do the first or the second dinner seating, right? So like you can kind of choose what seating you want. It looks like there's, well, let me see here. So the second night is a taste around the galaxy, and they're going to do a serving of each course, a brief introduction of the names of everything. There's appetizers, entree, desserts, standard stuff. But breakfast and lunch, again, is in the same room. So it's in that same restaurant for everything. And it looks like it's kind of similar. They're going to have hot and cold breakfast items and blue milk and small bites and sandwiches and all that kind of fun stuff. So
now,
good.
Sorry, looking at all this, I feel like if you're a picky eater, this may not be the place for you. Yeah.
Unless it's like, Disney Anywhere, where they're just like, if you're like, hey, I don't want anything on here, can you make me up some like chicken fingers? Like, I'm sure they could probably still do that. I would think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would think so. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to see. But then there's the lounge, the Sublight Lounge, which I guess is a place to get like, drinks and stuff like that. And you can also play that game. What is that game called?
Sabacc.
Yeah, Sabacc. Yeah. Which does anybody even know how to play that game? I think we saw in the itinerary that there's sabacc training, like you can learn how to play sabacc. So.
Yeah, so I've ran into sabacc over the years, like through playing video games, but it's never been. I can't think of anywhere where they've like fully been like, okay, here's how to actually play it, right? Yeah.
Well, obviously they figured it out, right? So. And then there's going to be an extra add-on experience where you can sit at the captain's table for dinner if you want to. You have to pay extra for that, but you can sit at the captain's table. And the thing I find interesting about this is looking at the concept art. There's like aliens sitting at the table with you.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. Yeah, the blue captain.
Yeah, and there's a couple different at the table with you, right? So. Yeah,
maybe these are people in cosplay. Maybe they're not
part of the actors that are there.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
They said you can dress up like however you want, but so that'll be confusing.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, you don't know who works there and who doesn't. But yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, I probably wouldn't pay for that, but it seems like a cool idea.
Yeah. So the description says. You get to sit at the captain's table for an especially memorable dinner experience. So obviously it's like a next level show.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how they're going to do that because it's, they've already said that it's dinner and a show that you're getting at the base. So what could they do extra for the captain's table?
Well, that's why I'm thinking some of like the actors that are going to be really made up as like alien, species. They're going to be sitting at the table with you and having conversations with you. Right. I feel like that's the only thing you could do, right? I don't know. But, I guess we'll see.
but then I can see people getting mad because sorry, this is the silly side of this is people are used to like character meals or a show like Hoop-de-Doo where, you go and you watch it and it is interactive. People come and interact with you during these shows and during these meals. But if it's like, if this captain's table is like you're sitting there if you're not at the captain's table and you're watching all this stuff go on at the captain's table, I can see where it would feel like you're missing out.
Oh, for sure.
Right. I can see people getting mad about that.
Oh yeah. People are definitely going to get mad about that. Especially since the table is going to be like centrally located. Like they specifically went out of their way to say it's like got the best view of the stage. Right. So
yeah, I mean, it looks like it, like you can see the stage in the background on the picture and there's like people all around and stuff like that. So yeah.
We should probably wrap this up pretty soon because we want to talk about the Magic Key and we're pretty far along here.
Okay. So yeah, we'll come back to this later as we learn more, but ton of information about this, right?
Two more things I want to mention though, really quick. Yeah. So they released a sample 3-day itinerary and I looked at it and to me, this tells me that they are going to, you guys were worried about like everybody showing up for lightsaber training. Mm-hmm. This to me tells me that they're going to schedule people. Like you're going to have some time for the free stuff, but it seems like there's going to be like, okay, you have freedom from this time to this time, but the other times 1:00 you're going to be on the bridge, and then 2:00 you're going to be lightsaber training. You know what I mean? It kind of seems like there's going to be a structure to it of some sort.
Yeah. So then I was talking about this with my family because we were looking at this, and the question I brought up is the sample itinerary. Is it like a couple of preset itineraries so you can't change it or you can only change pieces of it? Or is it like you can pick everything you want? Because then I could see it being like, I want to do lightsaber training all day, right? Like,
well, it's probably like you can do it once or twice type of thing. And you got to like schedule it ahead of time, right? You'll have to make a schedule for this, or like maybe you can select it once you're on board, but it's going to be like a certain amount of people can do it at a time, right?
Right.
Like we have this time slot available, this time slot available. Like I feel like it's going to be like fast passes almost, where it's like we have a certain amount for each time slot and you have to pick which one you want. Just what my guess is. Because that's the only way you can do it to avoid overcrowding, right? So
yeah. So I just realized that I'm confusing space chess with sabacc, and someone's going to call me out on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was thinking sabacc was was the
Isn't
chess
Sabacc
that
the
they
card
play.
game?
No,
Yeah,
it was the card game. I was thinking of the chess that they play on the
3D chess thing that they do on the Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
So Sabacc is a card game, which again, it'll be interesting.
The only last thing I want to share about this, because it made me laugh really hard, is that there is an FAQ on the Galactic Starcruiser website that, it has an FAQ on there. And one of the questions is, does Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser really take passengers into space? Why? I mean, listen, I understand that there are people that ask cast members if they can put the dome up over, Magic Kingdom because it's raining. Like, there are people that don't get reality sometimes, right? But like, the fact that they have to put this on here is hilarious to me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, so I'll use Space 220 as another example of this. I was describing it to my son, and I said, you get in an elevator and you go up to, this, or you go up this tower to Space 220, and it's above Earth.
Yeah.
And my son, innocently looked at me as a child and said, do we really go up into space?
That's a child question.
And I went, and me being the adult, I absolutely did not shatter his beliefs. And I was like, yeah, for sure. This is happening. We're doing this. Right. So I can see that. And I can see why they would need to put that kind of disclaimer on there. But, I guess, for children. So I'm trying to be delicate about this because, I don't want to shatter anyone's worldviews, but, Disney doesn't do impossible things.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And I guess if you're believing that and you're actually going to the Starcruiser thinking that that's going to happen,
here's Trevor, that there's going to be somebody though, right? There's going to be that one person that is going to complain on that ship. Right. Like, I thought I was going to space.
Or they're going to ask why you can't drop me off closer to home instead of in Florida.
Yeah, this is going to happen. Like, it's 100% going to happen. Like,
can't
that's
you just
why
land it near the Pacific Ocean instead of the Atlantic.
That's exactly why they have this, and the people are still. There's going to be that person.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, now we could talk about the new Disneyland annual pass replacement. Don't call it annual pass, right? Because it's called Magic Key, which when I first heard it, I was like, that's an odd name. I feel like it's a little weird, but I don't hate it. No, I kind of like it.
So it's actually, I like it. It's actually a playback to when they had the ticket books.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, no, I at first I just thought it was an odd name, and then I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I do like it. I take it back.
Yeah.
So do you want to go through this? Let's go through these here.
Yeah. So they announced the new Magic Key program, which so this is specific to Disneyland, just so that nobody has any misconceptions. This is not happening in Disney World. There's 4 different tiers to it. So there's the Dream Key, which comes in at $13.99 per year. The Believe Key, which is $9.49 a year. The Enchant Key, which is $6.49 a year, and the Imagine Key, which is $3.99 a year. These different tiers have so the Dream Key, the highest tier, is no blockout dates. You just can use it whenever. And it has the highest discount on merchandise and dining. Going down the list. Sorry.
And you can also book the most reservations at a time. So
yes, so six reservations.
So a big piece of the Magic Key program is that people will have to book ahead of time, which was a system that they put in place before the pandemic happened, right? So like they had that booking thing where you had to book at a certain time, right? So that was a thing, and now this is the same thing, but basically you could do 6 reservations at a time, booked up to 90 days in advance.
And then,
for the Dream Key.
Yeah. And then stepping down. So the Believe Key is still 6 reservations, with some blockout dates. And then, actually here's the one thing that's interesting. So the Dream Key gets free parking. The Believe Key gets 50% off of parking and 10% merchandise and 10% dining. So they're already splitting those things out.
I feel like if you do the math on that, if you're going enough, that it's probably cheaper to get the Dream Key, right? With how much parking costs and the discount difference, right?
If you're local and you're there like every week, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
And then, the Enchant Key is, so this is where, stepping down again, Enchant is 4 theme park reservations, no discount on parking, blockout dates, 10% merchandise, and 10% dining. So same as the Believe there. And then the Imagine Key.
More blackout dates than the Believe Key, right? So like as we go down here, there's more and more blackout dates.
Yeah. And then the Imagine Key is the lowest tier, which is available in Southern California only. So this is like the equivalent of the Gold Pass for Florida residents. Or actually, no, there was one below the Gold Pass, wasn't there?
At one point, I think there was. I don't know if there still is. Wasn't there a silver?
Yeah, I think there was a silver. But yeah. So this one, you only get 2 theme park reservations, and you get the 10% merchandise and dining discounts. So the interesting, like I said, the interesting thing about this is how quickly they scale down, right? Like you said, if you're somebody that's planning to go there on a semi-regular basis, it almost, I feel like, the rationalization behind stepping up to the next tier is, parking alone could be enough to justify paying the extra money just so you don't have to pay for parking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you got to do the math on this, right?
Yeah.
What does parking go for these days at Disneyland?
I don't even know.
How much does it cost? $25 per vehicle for the first hour, plus 10 for the. Wait, is that right? They charge you by the hour? That's my lack of Disneyland knowledge here. Daily parking rates. No, $25 per car. Okay. I saw something that said $10 per additional hour, but I don't know where that was coming from.
That was weird. I saw that too.
Wait. But... I think I was seeing Downtown Disney. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So for a theme park, it's $25, right? So 50% off of that is what? Math. $12.50, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just feels like it's probably worth it at some point, especially if you're going a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. If you're planning to go there, even a couple of times a month, that's 3 times over a month. Yeah. That adds up fast. And then especially, I don't know what the blackout dates look like. Blackout or blockout? I feel like they use both terms. Blackout, whatever. But let's go with blackout. But I mean, that's the same as, again, as it's always been. It's busy times like around Easter and Christmas. On the higher tier ones, those are the blackouts. I know with the old SoCal one, they actually had blackouts going from like June to August.
Yeah.
So they basically, it was basically, they don't want you there during the summer.
Well, this is, truthfully, this isn't all that different than the Disney World passes, right? I mean, the difference here is the amount of theme park reservations you have at a time, the booking ahead of time. Although you have that now, right? Right now you still have to book ahead of time, right? For the park. So
yeah, that
exists. And I think the only difference is there's no real difference in the merchandise discounts and all that stuff, right? It's pretty straight across the way. But, I saw people mentioning, do they photo pass at Disneyland? I don't even know. That's a good question.
They do.
But it's not included in this.
No. And same, I don't know if they were offering Max Pass as well to AP, or if there was a discount on the Max Pass either.
Interesting. Okay.
I'd have to go back and look at that. But yeah, so this really is just your park admission and parking with the usual discounts, which even the discounts, like, I don't remember there being, I remember, looking at the discounts before, and there wasn't, or at least for DVC, there wasn't a ton of discounts, but for annual pass holders, it was like a flat 20% before.
Yeah.
Now they're tiering it and they're saying, hey, on the lower tiers, you don't get as much of a discount, which again, all, like you said, doing all the math, it's like you have to kind of think about if you're, if you're planning to go there a lot and you're planning to eat the food and stuff like that, the higher tiers make sense. But I think the other reason that they're not doing the heavy discounts, or actually, it's kind of backwards thinking but they know that if somebody's getting the lower tier, they're not going there and spending as much on food anyway. So why give them the discount?
Yeah, maybe.
But I guess if you gave them a discount, they'd be more inclined to spend money there. I don't know. It's hard to. Yeah, it's a good question, right? So what I'm wondering though is how different are these prices from? I'm just trying to Google to find out like what the prices were previously, because I just don't remember. I mean, I'm sure we talked about it, but and I'm just looking back at 2019. Let's see here. So the Signature Plus passport was $13.99. The Signature was $11.49. Deluxe was $7.99. Southern California was $3.99. So the prices don't seem all that different, right? I mean, yeah.
In some ways, I'm sure the tiers are not exactly the same, right? So,
yeah, I'm just looking. Yeah, I think, you're right. Yeah, the prices haven't changed much, but I think it's the benefits have changed.
The benefits changed, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the reservations and the different discounts. And I think, I think Disney did this because if they just went and changed this while everybody was, still annual pass holders, then they'd have to grandfather in a bunch of people because, people would, and actually they were already doing this before, is that there was people that had been grandfathered in from various points in Disneyland because they changed the passes a couple of times, but as long as they kept renewing their pass, they couldn't change the policies around it. So I think, unfortunately, it took a pandemic for them to, they took that opportunity to basically like wipe the slate clean and say,
start from scratch.
Yeah, no, this is what we're offering and that's it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, and I don't think we should read into this at all for Disney World. They're very different places. Over 50%. I think it was over 50%. I think I read 60% of the visitors to Disneyland were annual pass holders, and they had to do something about that. Like they have to manage that better, right? And it was kind of a problem. So this was something they had to do. And I think what works at Disney World and doesn't necessarily work at Disneyland and vice versa, right? They're just different places, different people, a different like population going there. It's just a whole kind of different setup. So
one thing I should point out on here so I mentioned this to you earlier was so with the reservations, they let you do so many reservations within 90 days, but then if you're a no-show for your reservations,
so if you miss, so you have to cancel your reservations up to 11 p.m. the day before you were supposed to use the reservation. So you have to cancel it the night before. If you don't and you're a no-show, if you do that 3 times within 90 days, they actually block you from making reservations for a month. So yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty substantial if you think about it. And I think it's good that they've done that because it stops people, like you were saying, that there was an issue with a bunch of people having annual passes. And I think if they didn't set up something like this around it, you would have a bunch of people just booking reservations to the park going, well, maybe I'll go or, whatever, I'll just hold on to it just in case. But that really limits other people that, people coming from out of town that are trying to go that can't get a reservation because there's just people holding on to it. Right.
Well, yeah, because that was how it was right before the pandemic, right? Like right towards the beginning of the pandemic, didn't they have it set up so you had to book ahead of time anyway, right? Like, and so maybe they realized that was becoming a problem.
They were doing that, but I remember there was a bunch of static around that too. That people were they didn't like. I mean, obviously they didn't like the having to book ahead and all that because the whole idea that a lot of people had is, like you said, they're local. They figured, well, I'll just show up whenever, and it was also creating it was creating problems because people were being entitled about it. Like sure. They were like, I'm an annual pass holder. I live nearby. I don't care that you're busy. Get out of my way, right? Like this is, unfortunately, like you said, I think it is going to help kind of reset a lot of that expectation and make sure that people understand that you're not there to just, it's not your park. It's still Disneyland.
Yeah. But it's, it is interesting how they're doing this. I like the idea. I'm sure that whole cancellation policy came from lessons learned from before, right? So wasn't it like the Flex Pass or something like that? I forget what it was called.
Well, there was the SoCal Sun Pass or something. There was one pass that like gave you access to a couple of different parks, but it was like a couple of days in each park. Yeah, they've got a whole bunch of, or they had a bunch of crazy stuff down there in California. Now I guess there's something. You know what? Okay, forget. I'm going to touch on this because I think it might be for some fun conversation in the group. So we had a previous derogatory term for annual pass holders.
Can't say that.
You're right. I'm not going to say it, but how do you flip that with a magic key holder or a
keyhole?
A keyhole.
Yeah, a keyhole.
Yeah.
It's not the same, but
Yeah.
Gosh. But no, so
I feel like there's even a more clever version of this somewhere. I just
listen. What are you trying to say that this wasn't? What are you talking about? You don't think that was clever?
I mean,
just kidding.
But that's the direct analog from the previous term. I'm saying
I went for the lowest hanging fruit. Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying there's probably even someone may have something more creative than that neither of us would think of.
Yeah, no, you're totally right about that.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, I think we should end this. We're at an hour and 45 minutes.
I think we're good for today.
Time to end.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in the group, if you want to come up with a better name that's not explicit.
Let's keep it PG as we always do. So,
by the way, the magic keys will start being sold on August 25th. So soon that's gonna be happening. So
yeah. Oh yes. So yeah, I guess for anyone on the West Coast, if you're looking to get your not your annual pass, your magic key, then
I think it's just weird that I know we're really out of time here, but it's just weird to me that they're avoiding that because it's still an annual pass. You can still go as much as you want.
Yeah,
I mean, just outside of the blackout dates, right? I don't know. And anyway, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Okay. All right, guys. So, as usual, if you guys want to get a hold of us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. I say this every week, but you guys are great to us. You send us stuff all the time, and we try our best to respond back to it. Like Tom said in the past, when we get emails from you guys, we're not always able to respond the same day. I know Tom looks at it the most. And yeah, it's just because of work and everything. If we don't respond back to you right away, it's not because we're ignoring you. It's just, we're busy. So
I think the best place to get us is probably the Facebook page.
Yeah. Outside of that, we are very active on Facebook. So you can always reach out to us directly on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast, or you can go into the Facebook group, which is Welcome Home Disney Waitlist if you're not in there already. And it's not just us, you can interact with other people that have asked questions on the show. You can, get in on the memes or just the general discussion that always comes up in there, which I think is great.
Yep.
And I'll remind everybody as usual, make sure if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's Welcome Home Podcast, or Instagram Welcome Home Pics. Those are great places to be when we get back to regular cadence of actually going to the parks and we can actually post stuff. I realize, we're talking about doing a live show later in the fall here. When we get to the point of actually doing the meetup, there'll be some opportunity there to possibly join us for some sort of live stream as well. So, make sure you guys have that subscribed for things like that. Last but not least, sorry, Tom, I should have asked you this before the show, but we're going to do this live on the show.
Okay.
Have we changed the store yet? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
it's on my to-do list.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So
we are going to move our store to Teespring. So
Yeah.
with the same place you ordered the Haunted River Country shirts, we're going to move our store over there for a variety of reasons. But it's going to take some time to do that. So
right. So yeah. So the thing about that is it doesn't mean that we're going to start selling the Haunted River Country stuff through the main store. That is gone. But if you still want Welcome Home Podcast merchandise, you can find it on store.welcomehomepodcast.com. And, in the future we'll have new shirts and stuff like that. So stay tuned for new things coming as far as merchandise and t-shirts, which I'm kind of excited about. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
And
sure.
And last but not least, if you guys want to leave us a review on iTunes or any other service, please do so. We love seeing those. And
gotten a ton lately. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
like people have been posting reviews like a bunch lately, which is great. Please post more. As long as
maybe they're actually listening this far into the episode because I don't know. Maybe I don't know what we did different that is making people listen.
Podcasts are weird. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify. Any place you can find podcasts, you can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. Look for the one that's Disney DVC. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you, as always, to DVC Rental Store for sponsoring this episode and sponsoring this show, being longtime friends of the show. We really appreciate that. So if you got some extra points floating around out there, members, go check out DVC Rental Store, make some money off your points. Or if you're looking into DVC and you want to rent some DVC points out, go check them out too. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no